Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Opinion Machine, the show where we talk about all things gaming. My name is Killjoy, and today we're going to be ranking the Mario Kart World Tracks. This is specifically the tracks. This is not the intermissions, it's just the tracks themselves. And I have a lot of thoughts. There are 30 tracks in this game, which seems quite low for a Mario Kart game, but we're going to go through them. We're going to rank them from S to C. I don't see any point going lower than that. Obviously S is like the best tracks in the game, C are the worst, and then A and B are like good and great sort of thing. So I found this on Tier Maker. Some of these pictures are a little hard to see. I want to try and insert some footage of each track so you can actually just see it then anyway. But let's not waste time, let's just go through it. We're going to go through every single track in order that they would be in like Grand Prix basically, and we're going to go from there. So we're going to start with Mario Bros Circuit. Like every Mario Kart game, there's always at least one sort of circuit track to start you off. I don't think it's too bad. I don't think it's as interesting as some of the other tracks. I think there's enough shortcuts on this level to show off some of the mechanics, a bit like the wall riding, a bit of the gliding, things like that. And I think it's fun, but I think this is your standard kind of like, this is a B tier track. Out of all the circuit tracks, like it's definitely better than some of them. Like if you compared it to like Toad Circuit, this is way better. This is a fun, chaotic track, and it has, you know, it does things that are interesting. The biggest problem it's got is you come around the first corner and then you go up the big like turn, and it's just like one massive turn and then back. The bit on the back is the best bit because you have like shortcuts and things like that. So for me, absolute standard B. That's where that one lands. Then we have Crown City. Crown City is interesting because Crown City, when you play it as a free lap track, is very interesting. You go through the city, you go up on the roofs, you go around different corners and places like that. It's actually quite a long track and it's actually quite good. However, the first time you encounter this track is only part of it, and then you play it again later on, you do a different part of the city. And I quite like city tracks, but I think this is another one of those ones where I'm like, there are interesting parts of it, and the best parts are when it gets turned into these chaotic parts, like the bits where you're going across the roof, the bits where you're going through narrow parts of the road. I don't think this is one of the stronger tracks in the game, though. It's very generic in a lot of ways, and I think for that I would also put this in B. I think Mario Circuit is a bit more interesting. I want to make sure that you guys realise that I've played pretty much all of these tracks on free lappers as well. So I've done these tracks on free laps, or however many laps it has, as an actual track rather than just the intermissions or driving to it and doing one. And I think that Mario Circuit is a little bit stronger. I don't know if I'm going to rank every single track in its tier, but I do think Mario Circuit is just a better standard track. It has that Mario Kart feel. Crown City feels like it just doesn't have quite enough interesting stuff going on. Like there are parts of it that are really cool, but as it stands, probably a B. Then we've got Whistle Stop Summit. This is a really interesting track because this teaches you how to do a lot of rail riding. Pardon the pun. On grinding on rails along the track. There's like multiple paths on the track, so you can either go cross the rails and like fight for people for boosts on that, or you can go around the normal part of the track. There's bits you can wall ride on. I think this track's actually really solid. I think this is one that I've grown to like more and more as I've played it. It's not necessarily the most complex track, but I like the layout. I like the like I said, there's a lot. You can just stay on the track, and the cool thing about this game is you can fire red shells and green shells down the track and hit people. This has a lot of dynamics to this track, even if it is a bit on the simpler side. So for me, I think this is a track that is definitely worthy of A tier. I think it's very fun. I like it when the tracks are a little bit more chaotic. And I think this one is actually just a really solid track. I like the theming as well. We like kind of like train yard. There's a lot of that around, and even driving in free roam is pretty fun. But as a track, as a free lapper, I think this is actually really solid. It's probably one of the better new ones that we've got in the game. Which is then we come to DK Spaceport, and this is without a doubt an S tier track. This track in theme alone is phenomenal. But what makes this one really fun is that, again, this one's got like 5 or 6 laps because you go up the track and each sort of corner is a new lap. But what makes this one stand out above a lot of other tracks is, so you have that initial drive up like a road, take a corner, and then you fly across and you see this big mechanical DK. And each level that you're going up, you've got obstacles to avoid. So you've got barrels, you've got bouncy springs, you've got rails to ride on. There's a whole section dedicated to wall riding. this is one of the most interesting tracks from start to finish. It's obviously based on the original Donkey Kong, the 25 meters, and even when you get to the very top, when you cross that last lap, you get the music changes into like the crazy hammer music. There's bigger barrels to avoid. I think this is what I want to see out of Nintendo, the real creativity that this track brings. There aren't many tracks that are better than this in terms of new tracks, and I think this is just the shining example of this game being like, more of that. More of like making each single time you drive up a side, like there's obstacles to avoid. It's interesting. It's chaotic. That's what you want from Mario Kart. So that's like your first 4 tracks there, and already you can see that there's nothing terrible, but only more average, I think, is a lot of the tracks I'm finding in this, and all of these are new tracks, so that kind of gives you an idea of where I fall on it. Anyway, next up we've got Desert Hills. Now Desert Hills, I believe, is from the DS. This track, I think there's a little bit of nostalgia bias because they added in the Easter Island heads from Super Mario Land into this, and they run around the track and they bounce back and forth, like such a cool nod. As a track, it's maybe on the simpler side, but I do have fun with it. I like the theme of it. I think that they did a good job modernizing this track a lot, and I think the elements of I don't know what they're actually called, like these Island head guys running around on the track, is just, I don't know why it makes me laugh, and I really like it. I think as a classic track, it's maybe not my favorite, but I still enjoy it enough where I think I would put this in A. I think it's just when you have these tracks that are a little bit tight, a little bit solid, the bit we're going over the sand, when you get that chaos from Mario Kart, which is what people want, right? It's all about that adrenaline. Like, you want to drive well, but you also want the chaos of the green shells and things flying around. I think this track's pretty good for that. Maybe we'll come back to this one. Maybe it should be in B. But I think just on presentation and like my feelings on it, I don't have like super strong feelings on it, but I also enjoy playing on it. So it's a kind of a weird one. Then that brings us to Shy Guy Bazaar. I think this was one of those tracks that people really like the design of. I think this track is really cool as well. I think it's probably in A. I think these two are very strong contenders for like retro tracks. Shy Guy Bazaar, what makes it cool is again the design. Oh, there goes me, Pop Shield. Is the design of the track, the look of the track, the feel of it. Going through the marketplace is really cool. There's some cool shortcuts, there's things you can smash into. Again, not the most complicated track, but I think in this, that when the tracks, this is a great one again, where there's some tight parts, and that's where the chaos happens, and that's what you want, right? Like when you're driving around, you're trying to avoid the bananas, you're trying to avoid the like the urns that are on the track and things like that, and it's just a really nice glow up in terms of, you know, for a classic track. And I just think these two combined, it was such a smart decision putting these, being on that desert side of the map. These two work really well together, and I think combining like both of them together is a lot of fun. But as individual tracks, I think they are strong design, and they have a lot of just visual flair, as well as the ability that they are just chaos. You know, it's what you want. That brings me on to Wario Stadium. So Wario Stadium is a track that I absolutely hated in the Mario 64. It was long, it was boring, it was uninteresting. My has this track got a huge glow up. Like, I genuinely think this track is like one of the best in the game. It's fun, it's fast, it's just like, again, it oozes such personality, this track, being in a stadium. They've just done so well, and for me, this is easy S tier. It's just gone from one of my most hated tracks from the N64 game to essentially one of the best tracks, I think, in this game. Like, honestly, just the visual style, the visual fun of it, the amount of jumps you can jump off of tricks and things, like, it has so much like that dirt bike rally-ness to it that it just works so well. I love like you going through and there's fireworks going off and there's like an announcer and stuff in the background. Amazing track. Really like it. Think it's just a phenomenal. Already you can see a lot of the classic tracks are the ones that I'm kind of leaning towards, which, you know, I love. So Whistle Stop Top, not Whistle Stop Top, Wario Stadium is definitely S tier. Then we've got Airship Fortress. Now Airship Fortress, I think, is done dirty in this game if you play Grand Prix mode. You get to it, you do one lap and it's over. I think Airship Fortress is iconic because no other track is like it. It's one of my favourites. I don't know if now replaying it I would put it in S. I definitely think it's A tier. In the simple fact, I think it's one of the best A tiers because the only thing that sucks about this track is that it is very short. Driving around it is cool. Like, now you can drive up the chains. Now you can do the wall jumping. You've got the rocky wrenches in the way. You've got the flames. You've got the cannon. You've got the spiral and stuff. I love all of that about it. I think that is phenomenal. But I just don't think it quite hits the heights of the other two that are already in S tier. Maybe we'll come back to it later and I'll reshuffle these. This is just my first pass thinking about it. But I do think this is probably one of the strongest tracks in the game in terms of theme, like just the design of it. It's such a good track. And it should have come back in Mario Kart 8, but they've rectified that now and brought it back here. So, yeah, as a course full of older tracks, this is one of the best Grand Prix in the game, honestly. Right, next up we have DK Pass. This was a nice surprise. I really like this level. This is another one for me that is like easy A, probably. And again, it's a classic track. I love it. I think it's really fun. I like the DK snowboarding levels. I like that there's some tough corners in it. You've got the snow part, and you go down through all the snow, and you've got the jumps at the bottom. But that beginning bit where you go through the tunnel and around the corners, and you're going up the track, and the snowballs come down, that's mad. It's just madness. It's just people falling off the track and all that. Again, nice glow up. I think it's just a solid pick. It would be awesome to see DK Snowboard Cross or DK Mountain or whatever. Well, DK Mountain would be great, but the other snow level from 8, I think, would be awesome to see that come in, and you can kind of pair the two together. But I think this is I don't think it's quite as good as the DK Snowboard level, but I think it's still very good. You know, the DK Snowboard one is definitely S tier for me. This is just a really good choice, and it's as a snow level, it's a lot of fun. I like it when you get the Kamek item and you just spawn snowmen everywhere. It's great, but it is a good one. And then after DK Pass, we've got, what's this one called? It's at Starview Peak. This is an interesting track, Starview Peak. This one I find to be fun to look at, but the actual track itself isn't that interesting. You go out and around, you go up over the tower, and then you can take a turn, and then you're going across some like water. It's got Rainbow Road vibes to it. But I don't think the track is that interesting. I think it's okay. Like, I don't hate it, but it's not necessarily like the most... To me, it's not that memorable. I don't know if I'd put it in C. Like, again, would I put it over the Crown City is a question. Or at least Crown City's got interesting parts. This one I don't think was that interesting. I think it needed a bit more... Like, it needed to be a slightly faster track with a few more turns or something in it. Or more options of ways to go. Right, as it stands, it looks pretty, and it gives off Rosalina Ice World vibes, but yeah, it's not necessarily the most interesting track in the game. And then that brings us on to Sky High Sunday. This is a track that is I've definitely done a bit of a 180 on. I hate this track in Mario Kart 8. I think it is one of the most ugly-looking tracks, one of the most boring tracks, and just has issues across the board. I don't think it's very good. Here, on the other hand, I think they've done a good job bringing this track back, and it makes it a lot more fun. I don't necessarily know if I would put it in A tier now. It would have been bottom tier for me. I still think it's a lot better. I still have fun with it, but it's not necessarily... Like, what makes me more excited is, are they going to bring back Ninja Hideaway, Squeaky Clean Sprint, Yoshi's Island, a lot of the newer tracks that they put in? Because this is fine. It's fine. It's fun to play on now. It's got rail grinding and it's got wall jumping and there's a lot more to it. And I think that does a lot for it. But it's just never been particularly strong. It's basically an oval. And Excite Bike Arena was a much better track than this. Like, I know people like this level. And I do think it's decent. I think right now I'd probably put it in B. Because I am having a lot more fun with it. I think it's better than Crown City. I think it's better than Starview Peak. Not sure about the circuit track. I think maybe that's just a bit stronger because it's got the circuit vibes and like the design of it. It is a better track. I think they've done awesome things to this, but I don't know if I'd necessarily put it higher than that at the moment because I still think it's quite... It's just an oval. So that's kind of where I am with it. Okay, cool. So after that, we have Wario's Shipyard. This track is awesome. Why it's Wario's, I don't know. This is probably, for me, another S tier track. This is like, it's just like the water physics in this level, the bombing around it, the big anchor swing. I just really love how crazy this track is, especially in the game when it's raining. It makes the track even better, but it's got so much water, like, because you ride on the water now, so it's like jet ski style. You bounce over things. It just works so well, and I really like it. I really like the design. I really like the fact that you do go up on a ship, you shoot out of it. There's some cool shortcuts. Like, this track is quite unique. There aren't many like it where you have that much water involvement at the moment, and I just think it works really well. So for me, definitely up there. Then that brings us to Koopa Troopa Beach. Now, this is a complete nostalgia pick for me. This was such a surprise. The music was on point. The fact that it's 5 laps. This is the baby park of this game right now. And honestly, this is by far the most chaotic track. It's short, and there's just a lot going on, and there's just so many item blocks. And yeah, alright. You know, I've just said about how Sky High Sunday is just an oval. This is just a circle. But the presentation, the music, like, this is one of the few tracks you can lap people on. Like, there's so much going on in this track that it doesn't matter. You're not going to stay in first or last in here. It's going to move around so much, and I just think they nailed it. And for me, this is just, like, absolutely one of my favorite tracks in the game. In fact, this is probably... yeah, probably one of my favorites. Probably the favorite. Yeah, I don't know. We'll get on to the other tracks in a minute. But I know a lot of people are going to be like, what? It's really short and there's not a lot to it. But that level of chaos is just perfect. I'm not always... Like, I know a lot of people love Baby Park and only play on Baby Park. This is a little bit more interesting than that, because it isn't just like a track in an oval. There are, like, cheeps in the way. There's water. The design of it is just better. So for me, it's, like, absolutely, like, one of the best in the game. It was just such a pleasant surprise. I wasn't expecting it. And the music just hits so hard. You gotta love it. Alright, after Koopa Troopa Beach, we had Faraway Oasis. This is an interesting track, because I like this track, but I don't think the theming is that strong. Like, driving to it, you see some of the animals, but the animals aren't that involved in the track itself. It's like, you sort of just go into it and take it like a little bit of water in a turn, go up, go over, come down, and you drive along some water, go around a waterfall, and then back. I don't think it's bad, but I don't think it's like... I think they could have done a better job with maybe just having more animals in it. Like, it's got... The theme of the track is more when you're in free roam and you see all the animals around. Other than that, the most interesting thing about it is that the track splits in a few different ways. Near the end, you've got like a bit you can go up a grind rail, or you can drive on the water. I think it's good, but I mean, I'd probably put it above Sky High Sunday, but I don't know if I would put it above Mario Circuit. Like, I just think the theme of Mario Circuit just works, right? So the theme of Faraway Oasis, I think a lot of that is just part of other modes. Driving to it or doing free roam on it gives it that vibe. Oh, there's animals here. You don't really see much of that when you're driving it. It's not a bad track. I do like it. I like it over these. But I don't think it's not quite as strong as something like this. Is the difference between something like this and DK Spaceport. Like, they absolutely nail what they're going for here. Like, I think if this track had animals on it, I think it would be a lot better. Like, more obstacles to dodge. Then we've got is this Peach Stadium? Peach Stadium is very okay. Is it any... Here's the question. Do I think it is as good as Mario Circuit? Like, this has some cool elements to it. It is a circuit track. For the most part, you do play on it twice. So, as a lap track, you just do the circuit. But in the Grand Prix, you do a thing where you could go round it, and that is kind of just non-existent. I think this might be my first... I think this might be my first C-tier track. Because I don't think it's that interesting at all. Like, yeah, you've got the thing in the middle, but I think this is just a better themed track versus this one, which is maybe a little bit harder because there's pipes and stuff in the way. Like, I normally like these tracks, but it's so unmemorable. The whole level, even the other version where you don't go on the track, it's not very good. It's not very interesting. So I think this might be my first C track. I just don't really rate it, which makes me think I should be putting Crown City down here as well. But Crown City at least has more going for it. Yeah, I think I'm happy with putting this. I think this is one of the weaker tracks in the game. There's definitely others coming up very soon that I think sit here. And I just don't think it's that interesting. I think that Mario Circuit has a Mario Bros Circuit, whichever one's called, has a better theme. This is just, you know, the track bit's fun, but the other part of it just isn't that interesting. So, however, we go from one Peach level to Peach Beach. Peach Beach is amazing. The GameCube tracks in this game got such a glow up, and you know, I don't want to keep putting stuff in S tier, but this level's awesome. You go down like you do in the GameCube one, and then there's a whole new section that opens up through the streets and stuff, and I was just blown away by like how evolved it is. And then you have a whole section where you're like jet skiing around before you come back on the third lap. What a way to what a way to mix it up. Honestly, this is just the fantastic design in this. I love this track. Yes, GameCube track is a little bit biased and whatnot, but I do think this is an awesome track. Like, honestly, just like having that, thinking it was just going to be the same all the way around, and then suddenly you veer off and you're suddenly going up the streets and through the market and all that. I was like, wow, we're going for a seaside town? Yeah, I give them credit for that. That is seriously awesome. What's up then next? We've got Salty Speedway. I like this track. I do like it. I like the fact that a lot of it's going up on water, and then you go up, and then you come around a bit on land, and then you go down water to the end again. I don't know if it's like the strongest track, but I appreciate the fact that it's got a different vibe to a lot of the others. It's got like almost like a Venice vibe, maybe. Like, I think that's what it's going for. Where do I put this? Do I think this is A? No, I don't think it's A. I think this is B. I think it's more interesting. I think it's more interesting than these other tracks. Let's just organize this a second. So, I definitely still prefer the circuit track. This one has tight turns that does give that chaos. Crown City is more interesting than Faraway Oasis. Yeah, I think that's about right for me. I think that it is good. I think it is fun, but it's the most interesting part of the track is bombing down the water, and then you have sort of this middling part that's like, it's okay, I guess. Theme-wise, I think it's really good. Do I think it's like better than some of these? Is the question. Maybe it's more interesting than this one. I think this is a better, stronger theme. I think this is... Yeah, I think for now we'll leave it in B. I think that's where it sits nicely. Again, I don't think it's bad. I do think it's fun. Because of the fact that it's just got a different vibe to it. There's a lot more water driving down canals and stuff, and I think that leads to a lot more of that chaos that I speak about, of like items bouncing around, bananas bobbing up and down. And I think that is a good placement for it. Then we have, oh my god, alright, Dino Jungle. Oh my god, wow, this track is phenomenal. This track is done dirty if you don't play a versus mode on it. This track is such a good version of the original. I love the original in the GameCube. It's one of the hardest tracks. This is a little bit easier. It's less hard to fall off. But what makes it so interesting is the dynamics. You have different dinosaurs on the track that add to different obstacles depending on the lap you're on. The whole new like research center that you're in, it's got the dinosaur eggs. Dinosaur pops out the side. There's places to do grinds. There's tons of things to trick off of and get speed. Yes, it is a nostalgia pick. I am very biased. I love this track, but this to me is just such an awesome version of it, and I think it just deserves to have that like up there. It's so much fun. Again, done dirty when you do Grand Prix, because you do one lap and it's quite over quite quickly, but 3 laps of this, supreme. And just again, just a really tight track, lots of multiple paths and stuff. Just so good. So good. And then we are followed up with Great Block Ruins. I don't know how to feel about this track. I like it in design. I think it's interesting. I'd say it's probably A tier thinking about it, because there's some cool, you bounce off the clouds, you've got tight turns, you can fall off the track in a lot of ways. Like, there's a level of difficulty here. Do I think it's A tier though? I don't know. I don't know if I like it that much. Like, it's not a track that I necessarily want to drive on a lot. I'm going to stick it at the top of B for a minute. I think this track is good. And I think the times I played on it is fun because it has... So what did you do? You go up and around turn around, there's like a jump, then there's a corner, then there's another, there's a lot of sharp turns, which is cool. And then you bounce across some clouds, and that opens up multiple pathways. You can take a high road, or you can go along the track. Then there's a bit more bouncing, and a big turn, and then you shoot through the air at the end. I think it's somewhere between A and B. I'm going to leave it there for now. I do like it as a track, but it's not something I think about, or it's not like a go-to for me. I don't go, yeah, I really fancy it. But at the same time, it's a cool concept, and it is a ruins level, and I do kind of like that theming, and I like the fact that it's more so than Rainbow Road in a lot of ways. You can fall off the track pretty much anywhere, which is awesome. Like, you can knock the barriers out and someone else can go sliding. It definitely requires you to like think about how you're taking your jumps and how you're drifting and things like that, and I think that's good. Yeah, okay, we're going to put that in B for now. I'm going to come back to that one. We'll see where other things land. Cheap Fools. This is another one where I'm like, I like the concept, but it's very fast, this track. So you go like up, around, across the bridge, and then down over a bridge, round a waterfall, and then you've got a big patch of water, and you're bobbing along like that, and then you come back to the beginning. I think this one's pretty good. I think this is probably A tier. Yeah, like, thinking about it, like, maybe not the strongest in design. It's going for sort of like an sort of Asian-inspired look to it, which is really cool. I kind of like that. It's got like this very I don't know if it's meant to be the autumnal, but it's just got like a nice vibe to it, like a nice clean look. I think that the fact that the big part of the track is a water section, there's waterfalls going down and you're bouncing around, leads to a lot of fun. It's a very fast track, and I think overall for a new one, it's actually pretty good. Definitely one of the better ones. Yeah, I think I'm happy with it there. I don't think it deserves to be any lower than that. I think it is one of the better tracks in the game. It's always hard sometimes with these tracks because it's just like, which ones do I like to go to, and that's mostly the stuff in S tier. But I don't want to knock it for being, it's not a bad track by any means, but I do think it's very good. Yeah, we're gonna put it there because I think that's where it deserves to be. Unlike Dandelion Mines, is it Dandelion Mine? Dandelion Depth, sorry. This track is boring as hell. This is one of the worst tracks in the game. I never want to play on it. You literally go around some things, you go down into mines, you go across the water, and then you back up. There's nothing interesting about this track. Even the design of it isn't that interesting. Like, it's just, I don't know. I don't really get it because it is made. A lot of it is just turning and then turning some more, and then going down some water rapids, and then straight back up, and that's the track done. Yeah, I don't rate it at all. I don't think it's that interesting in design. I don't think it's that interesting in a track. There's not a lot on the track to slow you down. There's maybe some mud. I think it's quite weak, honestly. I think it's one of, yeah, well, along with Peach Stadium, some of the weaker tracks. Yeah, deserves to be there. Now we have Boo Cinema. Boo Cinema, I think, is probably one of the coolest in designs. The track itself isn't particularly long, but what makes this track so cool is going through the cinema into the screen going like a sepia colour, and then running along the reels, and then popping back out, and then doing some turns. I think this is definitely A tier. I'm going to plonk it there for now. I think this track would be in S if it was a little bit longer and had a little bit more like to do with like the cinema side of things. Like, you obviously driving through it, you jump into the screen. I think maybe just a couple extra little things would have like just added to it. Like, outside of it, you got all the boardwalks and things, and you don't go there on the track. I think that would have been cool, like driving outside of that like to end it. But I still think it's one of the stronger tracks in the game. It's so interesting, and it's a really cool design for a Boo track, like ghost track sort of thing. I really like it. Alright, now we got, is it Drybones Burnout? This track is a hard one to place because I think it's interesting in the fact that there are multiple pathways. So on this track there's a ton of like left and right side and the middle side. There's a flight bit over and all that. But I don't think this track is that interesting. I think the last Drybones track, or Dry Desert, or whichever one it was in 8, was better. I actually think this is a C tier track. I think you start off, you go around, and then you have, like I said, the track splits into almost 3 bits, which is, that bit's interesting. Then you fly across, but there's not really a lot to do with, like, like there is lava you can fall into, and there is like bones and stuff. But I just don't think it really nails the theme that well. Like, it's definitely harder. It's definitely got the chaos side of it, but I just don't think it's that memorable. It's kind of like, for me, like the Dragon Driftway track that was in 8. I like it in playing on it, but I don't think the theme is particularly strong. I feel confident putting that in C. I think some people might disagree on that one specifically out of these 3. Like, maybe people think this is higher. This one I can't see anybody being that bothered by, but this one I think people might think it's a bit better. But yeah, for me, nah, not the one. And that brings us on to, where are we at now? Moo Moo Meadows. Moo Moo Meadows is a track I have played a ton on, like from Wii, Mario Kart 8. Like, I like this track. I think this version of the track is a little bit more interesting, but it's not that different. So where would I put it? I think it goes into B. Like, it's always going to be a good contender of a track. Like, this is like a starter track. The problem is, at this point, when you've gotten to nearer the end of the cups and stuff, Moo Moo Meadows feels like it should be the first one. So it's definitely an easier track. It does have that chaos and stuff. Do I think it's more interesting than this one? Yes. Do I think it's more interesting than this one? Yes. I think I would put it here. Because you've got the cows, you've got the Monty Moles, you've got new additions to the track. It's always a crazy track because it isn't the longest, and there's narrow parts. There's cows on the road, you know, like there's a lot going on. And I think that gives it a fairly good amount, but it is also not that dissimilar. The difference between something like Moo Moo Meadows and like Wario Shipyard, Wario Stadium, Peach Beach, all the ones in S, is that all the classic tracks that are in S have such a glow up versus this one from Mario Kart 8. Yes, it does look better. The track's slightly different, and it is a better version, but it's not that different. And we've played on it a lot recently, so yeah, I think they're pretty good. I think these tracks are still a bit more interesting than this one. Right, what's up next? Oh, Choco Mountain. This is an easy C. This is by far the most... I think this is the worst track in the game. I've never been the biggest fan of Choco Mountain, but in Mario Kart DS, when they brought it back, I liked it there. In Mario Kart 8, even though it graphically looked a bit naff, I still liked the theming, going through the cave, the bats, flying across, you know. It was good. Here, it's just ugly. It's meant to be a dirt bike track similar to Wario Stadium. This is phenomenal. This, on the other hand, it's not a very good rendition of Choco Mountain. I think some people are going to love it, and there's people like me where I'm just like, it's so... It doesn't even fit, like, apart from driving it, it feels nothing like Choco Mountain. I think they really, really messed up with this track. I think it is by far the worst track in the game. I don't enjoy it at all. Like, I'd rather play 8 or the original version because they actually feel more a theme. Like, I like what they're trying to do with the chocolate, is like being like the mud, but it just doesn't. There's not. I think if you were gonna they're trying to do it into this dirt track thing, it needed more tricks on it. It needed more things to flip off, like stuff like that. As it stands, it's just not that interesting. I just don't think it's very good. So, right now we got Toad's Factory. This is a track a lot of people seem to really like. Toad's Factory. It is interesting. It's got the boosting, like the tractors at the beginning, the bulldozers. You've got the conveyor belt parts. It is fairly interesting, so I can't deny that. It's never been one of my favourites. I think it is probably... Ooh, it's more interesting than Great Ruins. It's more interesting than this stuff. So that means it's either top of B. Is it more interesting than these? You know what? We're going to stick it in A for now. I think it is a good track. Again, done dirty in Grand Prix. You drive one lap on it. A free lapper on this one. There's a lot going on. There is a lot of this track is interesting. If I play by my own rules, you have the bit at the beginning where you're boosting over the tractors, bulldozers, I keep calling them tractors. You've got the conveyor belts with the slammers that can get in the way. You've then got the arrows, and then you've also got the moving conveyor belts. So, do you know what? I think A is a good place to put it. I don't think it'll ever be one of my favourites. I like it in theme and stuff like that, but it's not something it's like not a go-to for me. So I think this is a good place for it though, because it is fun. And in this game, I think having that level of like stuff going on is what's needed to really separate certain tracks. I mean, this has a lot going on, a lot to think about. All right, so now we've got Bowser's Castle. I don't know how I feel about this Bowser's Castle. I think 8's was more interesting. So, because again, in Grand Prix, you have the bit where you drive up to it, which is kind of cool. So when you get up there, it's like you've got your square turns, which is to expect. There's fireballs going around. You've got bits where you boost over. Kind of reminds me of Yoshi's Island a little bit, because the bit where you like boost over and take a big turn. But I don't know if I necessarily think it's amazing. I think it's B tier. To be honest, I think it's good. I don't think it's down here in C. I don't think it's bad by any means, but I just don't think it's like that good either. It's not like it doesn't stand out. So we'll stick it there for now. I think this is going to be higher than some of these tracks, but we'll come back to that in a minute. I just think with Bowser's Castle, it's got elements that you'd expect, but there's nothing. It's not. I don't know. It just doesn't stick out in my head. It's like this is one, a difficult track, or two. It doesn't. Some of the older tracks have more elements that feel more like Bowser's Castle. Like I just think this particular one, it just doesn't quite reach the highs of some of the others. Acorn Heights. How do I feel about Acorn Heights? It's fun, but I also don't think it's A tier. I think it's also a B tier track. I think it's fun. I think the one on the Wii, Maple Treeway and stuff like that, is just better. The best part of this track is when you fly down and there's leaves and you're tricking off the leaves and all that good stuff. And then once you land, there's like acorns rolling down and you go up the thing. But other than that, it's I don't know. It's all right, I guess. It's not bad. It's not down here. It's better than these tracks, but it's not. I don't think it's hitting the highs of some of these. So, okay, Mario Circuit. All right, this is a complete bias pick, and I know people are definitely not going to agree with me on this. Wait, hang on. It's a toss-up between these two, but this is one of my. The reason why this is one of my favorite tracks in the game is it did such a clever thing, which was let's combine Mario Circuit 1, 2, and 3 from the older from SNES and put them together. Yeah, it's not a free lapper. I would love it to be a free lapper. I think the track would be quite long. But the fact that you go from each of those tracks and you do sections of each of them is so clever. Like, I didn't expect this. And as someone who loves, and the music is just like the classic music. I know that there are, like, you know, DK Spaceport and things like that, like new tracks that are probably people are going to say, hey, you know, this is a better design. But as someone who's been playing Mario Kart from the very beginning, Mario Circuit, seeing like those classic tracks with the coloured blocks and like then merging, I do wish that Mario Circuit 4 was here, because that's just a bit mwah. But even in free roam and stuff like that, the area is so cool. It feels like actually like a go-kart track. So for me, this was one of the coolest moments in playing and just going, oh my god, like I can not free roam, but I can play on all of these tracks. I mean, I can just do the laps on those tracks as well, which is really cool. Yeah, it's a huge bias pick, but I absolutely love it. And you're not going to change my mind on that. And then last up, Rainbow Road. Rainbow Road's weird in this game. It's really long, and it references like a bunch of the other Rainbow Roads. It references N64, SNES, I think Wii, and 7, I think it also references. There are parts of this track that I really like the reference to the SNES one, where they brought back the invincible swamps, and there's a bunch, and the road looks like it, and there's like square turns. That's the best part of the track. But it's also not interesting all the way around. Like, there's some nice turns and stuff, but it's not that hard of a track, and I just feel like Rainbow Road should be hard. And I think some of these other tracks might be harder than that. I think it might be A tier, but I think it might be bottom of A tier. Like, it is good, and there are good parts about it, but stick it here for a minute. This is my overall feeling for these tracks. These S tier tracks are the absolute best. Then these A tier tracks are great. B is just good, and then C is just boring in my eyes, or just not that interesting. Let's see if I can quickly order these. Chocolate Mountain, absolutely my least favorite track in the game. Dandelion, definitely then. I think that one's also really boring. Burnout is definitely more interesting than this, but I still just don't like it that much. But it is better than this one. Peach Stadium, I think because it's a circuit track, that vibe, I definitely think it's better than these. Acorn, right, okay, so now B tier's got the most tracks in it, so We've got the Acorn track and Bowser's Castle. I think out of all of these tracks, let's just have a think. Right, at the end of it, it's got to be Starview Peak. Nice to look at, short, not that interesting, but still has some elements to it that I like. Do I prefer these two tracks over Ice Cream Sundae level? Probably. Is Great Block Ruins the best of B tier? I think I'm going to put Sky High Sundae there. I think this is more interesting. This is more interesting. Bowser's Castles is more interesting than... Nope. Than Faraway Oasis. Do I prefer Faraway Oasis over Acorn Plains, right? So... no, I don't. I think this is better. Moo Moo Meadows is classic. But it's hard to put it anywhere else other than the middle of this pack because... Crown City has elements that are interesting, but it's not necessarily my favourite track. This I do love as a track and theme and all that, but it's hard for me to put it over this stuff. Bowser's Castle is definitely more interesting, but I think Moo Moo Meadows I'd rather play than Acorn Plains, personally. So I think this is a toss-up for these. Crown City is just more interesting as a free lapper than Bowser's Castle. Is it over Salty Salty Speedway? This has a very unique look to it and feel, so I think so. I think that's right. This one, I think it's a toss-up because this track is the first track in the game, but I think the theme and what it is very strong, and it's got a good balance of sort of that chaos. It is a bit simple. I might consider putting this one over it, but I think I just like the design of this track better. This one at least is interesting and it's quite difficult because it's got the fact that there's no sides and stuff and multiple pathways. Even though I might prefer to play this one, I do think this is slightly better. And then that goes to A. So, what have we got in A? So we've got Airship Fortress, DK Pass, Boo Cinema, Whistle Stop Top, Desert Hills, Shy Guy Bazaar, Cheap Cheap Fools, Toad Factory, Rainbow Road. Okay, these two I put in here, and I'm a bit unsure of whether they should have been A or B. So let's look at that. Rainbow Road, do I prefer it to Toad Factory? Toad Factory's got a level of chaos. I maybe just put Toad Factory over Rainbow Road, but it does have that reference to the SNES games, so maybe not. Is Airship Fortress my favourite A-tier track? I guess is the question. I do like it, but I think I prefer DK Pass just a bit. I think this is just a track that I like just a little bit more. Whistle Top Stop Boo Cinema. Love the rails and all that sort of stuff on it. I think this is a better theme track, so I think that's correct. Desert Hills is a bit on the simpler side. I think Shy Guy Bazaar's probably... I love this track in terms of design, but I think this is a bit more interesting. Cheap Cheap Fools is definitely a faster, chaotic track, so I think maybe that goes above Desert Hills. Maybe this is here. Thinking about it. Do I prefer this track over Great Ruins? Yes. So yeah, I think this is better. So then Desert Hills. Do you know what? In good mind, I don't think I can put those tracks over Rainbow Road. I still think that's a bit just a little bit more interesting. This one's probably more fun in some instances. This is a long track. It's very unique as well. But would I put it over this stuff? If this was SNES Rainbow Road, it'd be up the S tier easily. Or if it was a Rainbow Road that I absolutely loved, it would be higher. But I think this is about right in terms of like fun. And then S tier. It's a toss-up between these two. I know this is super biased, but they are like my favourite like classic tracks. Dino Dino Jungle, oh god. All of these tracks are amazing. DK Spaceport is probably the best new track. In fact, old, new, old. And that tells you a lot about the game. What about A? Old, new, old, new, old, old. New. No, 3 new and 1 old. New, old, new, old, new. Most of the new tracks are in B tier for me. It says a lot, doesn't it? Dino Jungle and are they? That's a tough one. I really like. Do you know what? I think this might be my favorite. This is just an awesome rendition. This is an incredible okay, they have to go that way around. DK Spaceport is by far the best new track. And then these three. This is amazing. This is amazing. This is amazing. I think I'm happy with this order. I think this is how I feel about the Mario Kart tracks. I think overall, there's going to be a lot of disagreement from people. I think this game is lacking tracks. It really needs new ones. It needs classic ones, and I want to do some video on some classic tracks that I think would fit. But as it stands, I think this is how I feel about Mario Kart World's track listing. I know people are going to be like, why have you put Koopa Troopa Beach and SNES Mario Kart up there? But nostalgia picks, man, like they got such a good glow up. DK Spaceport, easily the best new track in the game. And then followed up by Boo Cinema. And so, yeah. You can see what I mean, for me, there are issues with the game in terms of tracks. Like, what the selection is very all over the place. Most of the tracks, I think, what we've got in S tier is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I think 7 are outstanding. 2, 4, 6, 8, 9 are very good. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 are good, fun, okay, and then 4 are kind of boring. So it's not like the track selection is too bad, but they definitely need some new stuff as well as some classic tracks to really uplift this. I'm looking forward to seeing what comes down the line, and we can revisit it then. Anyway, bit of a longer video today, guys. Hopefully this has been a lot of fun. Just remember, this is just my opinion. You're going to have your own opinions. I know people are going to be like, I don't think that's very good. Or like, whatever the tracks are in the top comments. But if you do want to have that discussion, and you want to actually say why you think I'm wrong or whatever, actually make a comment that I can read, rather than just saying, I think this is bad. Tell me why you think certain tracks are better, or why you think, you know, why have you done that, or why that. Because I'll happily have a discussion with people about it. Anyway, thank you very much for watching, as always. If you like the video, please hit the like button. It helps out a lot. If you want to see more content on Switch 2 and other things like that, hit subscribe. And until next video, I will see you then.